I've noticed a reoccurring trend in the beer community, and I believe it's extremely problematic. We are obsessed with gimmicks. We don't obsess over exceptionally well-made beer. If that was the case, the import shelf in your local bottle shop wouldn't be covered in dust and cobwebs all the time. Instead, we obsess over attention-grabbing, media-procured trends to make our friends jealous and our social media posts look that much more appealing. Now, don't think I'm bashing. I'm that way too. I am a huge sucker for gimmicks and will go outrageously out of my way to get my hands on something flashy. In fact, I remember the first gimmicky beer I ever fell for. It was back in 2014. I was scrolling through Facebook when I came across a post from the Unknown Brewing Company located in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were releasing a beer that was catching headlines, and at the time it was the most outrageous thing I had ever heard of. The beer was called El Jornada del Escorpión en Fuego hacia la Casa del Chupacabras Muerto. It was brewed with agave nectar, serrano peppers, tequila staves, and real food-grade scorpions. Most people were repulsed, but I became obsessed. I had just gotten into beer and was finally able to see the appeal of IPAs, which made me both a badass and a connoisseur of the finer things. I was living in Colorado and had access to some of the greatest beers in the nation, but all of them seemed dim and boring in comparison to this outlandish and off-the-wall beer. I had to have it. I went way out of my way to get a bottle and could absolutely not wait to crack it open. And I was so disappointed. It was overly boozy from the tequila, the agave syrup made it sickly sweet, and of course, there was no real way to tell that the scorpions were actually in there. Unless you had a shellfish allergy. Apparently eating scorpions has the same effect as lobsters to those allergic. I was crushed, but I did not learn my lesson. Over the years, I went on to spend a seemingly endless amount of time, money, and energy hunting down dumb, underwhelming, beer-related gimmicks. They're everywhere. The ingredients are gimmicks, the marketing is gimmicks, the collaborations are gimmicks. I mean, it seems like nowadays, breweries are too busy focusing on what's going to get the most people's attention, what's going to get the most people standing in line for their release day, instead of making just good quality beer. I would even go as far as to say some styles are gimmicks. Now, I wholeheartedly believe that America's current love child, the New England style India IPA or the NEPA, I, a bit controversially, believe that it's actually one of beer's best-selling and most well-liked gimmicks. Now, before you all start spewing your hate in my comment section, let's take a look at the definition of gimmick. Gimmick, a trick or device intended to attract attention, publicity, or business. Now, I know we're all haze boys nowadays, but do you remember back when the NEPA first became a thing?
Heady Topper, the number 3 rated beer in the world.
Heady Topper was king in flavor, aroma, and mouthfeel, but it was widely considered one of the ugliest beers on the market. People even speculated that the drink from the can label was due to the brewery being ashamed of how it looked in the glass, but it sold like hotcakes, and its trade value is only rivaled by the West Coast legend Pliny. So breweries across the nation started trying to capitalize on its success by pumping out their own hazy IPAs, creating an extremely lucrative trend, aka gimmick. But I would like to clarify, I do think there is a distinct difference between gimmickry and innovation. Some of the OG haze singers like Hill Farmstead, The Alchemist, they really took a gamble and they went into brand new murky waters and they created something truly new and truly innovative. Some breweries really welcomed the change and the innovation and they tried their own hands at it and they came out with boundary pushing beers that both took the spirit of the style but also really transformed it and created something new and beautiful, completely separate and distinct from the old school. Tired Hands is a good example with their milkshake NEPAs. You know, that was a huge risk and a huge gamble to throw vanilla and lactose into it and really change up how the style was. But other breweries started pumping out NEPAs solely for the fact that they can say that they have one on tap. And that's downright gimmickry. If you want to try your hands at something because it's new, or you see it as a challenge, or you have some fresh ideas to take on it, that's one thing. But to do it simply for the fact that it's the focal point of people's wallets, that's another. Business savvy? Sure, probably. But at least call it what it is, a gimmick. Take Boston Beer co-founder and early craft beer pioneer Jim Koch, for example. Back in the day, it was rare to see an IPA released from Sam Adams. It was widely known that Jim Koch was not a fan of its taste and even said he wasn't interested in making hoppy beers simply because everyone else was. But then the competitive bubble started to rise, and the Boston Beer Co.'s dominance began to falter. Market shares were rapidly slipping away from him and taking the profits with it. So, Mr. Koch began to have a bit of a mental breakdown. He started rampaging through bars, screaming at employees that were not his, talking smack on other brewery beers, and just generally freaking out. But then he regained composure and launched the Boston Beer Co. in a new hoppy direction. Suddenly, Sam Adams was brandishing a new lineup of rebellious IPAs. Single hop IPAs, double IPAs. He even pissed off legendary hopslinger and notorious asshole Greg Koch when he tried to wedge into the super shelf fresh IPA market. And here recently, Sam Adams has started pushing out a NEPA. And even though I do personally think Sam Adams NEPA is one of the best widely distroed hazy IPAs on the market, you can't help but feel there's no soul in this beer. It feels like its recipe was based upon a sad fusion of bare minimalism, shareholder frustrations, and a desperation for relevancy. You just know that the hazy IPA is everything that Jim Koch hates in beer, but he sells it anyway to scrounge up business. Let's take a look at the definition of Gimmick again. So yeah, you could say I have a problem with the way breweries are brewing, making, selling, advertising their beers, and I mean, they're not the only ones who have a problem. I mean, there are a ton of beer-infused vultures out there just waiting to get their hands on your hard-earned cash. The gimmicks come in many forms of beer fanatic accoutrements. We have glassware that is designed to enhance the beer experience, although I'd say you'd be hard-pressed to notice any real significant difference. It's not like a specially designed glass is going to turn some shelfie into a world-class phenomenon. But it's got to be better than those damn IPA bowls. Jesus Christ. There are so many of these products trying to capitalize on the cash cow of the beer boom. Their containers and stocking stuffers, cookware, soaps, educational books, certifiable programs, and beer foods. Holy crap, the beer foods. Seriously, they come in so many forms and all of them are subpar. Take beer brats, for example. Do you really think that these have any noticeable beer influence? It's not like you're actually cooking them from scratch, boiling it in the beer and cooking it in the beer, infusing the sausage with the beer flavor the way that people want it to be. I challenge you to buy normal brats and beer brats of the same brand and blindly eat them and correctly identify which one of them was supposed to be the beer brat. Same with beer sauerkraut and beer mustard and so on infinitum. Let's take fast food for a better example. Beer in fast food has been a romantic item for a while now, and the results are always some horrible abomination. Burger King recently released the American Brewhouse Burger, and it was supposed to be a double cheeseburger with crispy onion straws and a beer-infused tavern sauce. Now, first off, I want to take a quick second to bitch about this pathetic attempt at putting the correct ingredients on a burger. Jesus Christ, Burger King, get it together. But secondly, I want to play a game. I'm about to take a bite of this BK and InBev love child, and I want you to guess how my experience went. A. Overwhelming satisfaction with a noticeable beer flavor. Or B. Any possible happiness completely overshadowed by buyer's remorse due to being suckered in by a gimmick. I'll give you a hint. It could literally be any answer at all besides A. But still, I bought it. I wasted more time and more money on a worse burger simply because I have a lack of self-control and a love of beer gimmicks. Also, it was marketed as coming with a freedom crown that could hold a beer and a funnel to drink out of, like a beer hat, and it had a secondary placeholder for a second backup burger, which would have been pretty cool and useful had the burger been good. And not gonna lie, it was a huge draw for me. I had several people across the country looking for it and made my fiance call like 20 BKs to try to find something that is apparently not real.
New Burger King Freedom Crown that's supposed to go with the new burger that's out. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, they don't have it.
So in parting words, I understand why gimmicks are around. I understand the appeal of them. But the real issue I have with beer gimmicks is that I firmly believe it's one of the many factors that are undermining the credibility and growth of the beer industry. It seems breweries are too busy trying to catch headlines with strange ingredients when they should be focusing on making a good beer. Not to say that you can't do something interesting with a interesting ingredient, just that it seems that a brewery would rather try to just shove something in there just to get people's attention instead of building a harmonious fusion of the ingredients. If you are a consumer Just spend your money wisely. Don't go wasting it on a subpar product just because you might get a couple more likes on Instagram or Untapped. And if you're a producer, have some integrity. Make a good, heartfelt product, not just one to capitalize on someone else's success. And not all gimmicks are bad. Don't get me wrong. There are some beer-infused gimmicks out there that are worth taking a look at. Some products out there, they're able to do what I was talking about earlier. Take beer as a concept and infuse it with different ingredients to enhance the overall experience and make just generally a better product. Take a look at Jameson's Irish Whiskey Caskmates, an Irish whiskey aged in stout barrels. It took the flavor of beer and was able to make a high quality and arguably better product, all the while capitalizing on beer's good name. Some products even actually enhance the beer experience. Take these foods, for example. It's not just some product with beer on the label and it's like the 88th ingredient in it. They actually focus this product around being beer centric. That is something positive. Take these cigars, for example. They were built from the ground up to accentuate and enhance the beer drinking experience, not just use it as a money making platform. The bottom line is that if you want to brew a beer with scorpions, go ahead, by all means. I just want you to do it in a way that's on a deeper level than just shock value. And if a new beer style comes out, by all means, try your hands at it, experiment with it, play around with the style, push it actually, make it become more solidified in the community, more well known. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't go out of your way to try to purposely style bite somebody and try to rip off their recipe and, figure out exactly how to make a clone of it just so that you can put it on your own menu. That's where styles start bleeding into the gimmick territory. And if you're going to make some god-awful beer-themed product, do so with passion. Actually put out something worthy. Have some integrity. Give people what they paid for. If you're making beer foods, put some damn flavor in the recipe. If I pay for Yingling brats, they better taste like freaking Yingling. Is that so much to ask for? Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I would love to hear any of your feedback or comments. I know this could come off a bit controversial, but I'm still interested to hear what y'all say, and thank y'all very much for watching. A full world plan to gain that trust of the human race. After all, we come from outer space. Never seen, it's time for